To Zion, brothers and sisters. How are you doing? Shabbat Shalom. I'm Elder Recall Shiar of the Gathering of Christ Church here live for your weekly Sabbath. I'm glad to have Elder Lawyer back.
Yes, sir.
Welcome back, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir.
Before we go into it, if you'd like to tell brothers and sisters, how was the trip? You know, how were you embraced? Just a short synopsis of what happened over there in the UK.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely. It was a good trip. As you all saw, we had an opportunity to sit down with the brothers and sisters there in Manchester and do a lesson there, after which we broke bread. And again, it was a lovely time. Lovely time.
Oh, yeah. And, I came behind it with Remembering Peace FM.
Right.
Remembering Peace FM. And I just love I would say, the close-knit gathering that we have in the UK. Not that it doesn't exist everywhere, but it's very rare to see a church begin with its original members and continue all this time.
Right.
And that shows their perseverance and endurance through the good, bad, no matter what. Family. And that's one of the things over there. That's one of the ministries that really spearheaded the Gathering of Christ Church on an international level. And we thank the Most High for it. All right. Jumping right in. Before I go in, I need you all to hit the like button. Of course, as you all know, this church's station or channel is under a shadow ban. Even though our church complies to all YouTube rules and guidelines, for some reason, they seem to bar us out. They're blackballing us to some degree from actually getting to the front page to be suggested to those who don't know about us. So it's even to a degree where they're not even to sometimes sending notifications to those who have actually clicked the notifications for our broadcast. You're not being notified. So, brothers and sisters, I'm going to put it on you. Help us out, okay? Hit that like button to drive the algorithm to reach the people they're blocking from seeing this truth, please. Especially for a lesson like today. I did a lot of preparation for this. Help us out. Please hit the like button, please. Please. All right. Now, before I go in, I would be amiss if we didn't discuss our up and coming academy beginning June 25th. Next Sunday, be there or be square. Learn the true history of the world in this academy. We're going to be focusing on history and archaeology through each lesson to prove everything we're teaching out of the Bible have archaeology and history as its basis. Okay? Throughout all of the lessons, there will be a historical, archaeological proof. And next week, we're going to go into the creation of the universe and how Esau in our modern times began to theorize how the world began. And we're going to put up their science against the proof of God's creation out of the Bible. You don't want to miss that. The true history of this academy: remember the days of old, consider the years of many generations. Ask thy father, and he will show thee. Thy elders, and they will tell thee. Deuteronomy 32:7. We, the elders of the Gathering of Christ Church, invite you all to the upcoming Hebrew and Bible Academy, which starts next Sunday, June 25th, 2023 at 9 a.m. This academy, you can learn the history and archaeology of the Bible with charts, maps, and historical dates put together through us and other resources, okay? So we're going to make sure that we're building scholars out there. I'd like to congratulate all the brothers and sisters who have went through past academies and those who actually went through full 3 months and have received their certificates to prove that they made it all the way through. And guess what? You're invited back again. We're going to have historical data, brand new in-depth lessons on the serpent seed, color in the Bible, going into the black nobility of Europe. They lied on us. We ruled Europe. This is why they originally hate Great Britain, because that was us. It was the Romans who tried to come against the Britons, because we were the Israelites who took over that area. And I'm going to go into that before the Germans came. That and more history in the academy. In the lessons, the split between Israel and Judah, there'll be a little twist here. Okay. The twist is finding the tribe of Dan. So we're going to go into the 12 tribes to split and how we split, but we're going to find what happened to Dan through some historical facts as well as the Bible, tracking the tribe of Dan and where they settled in the Greek islands, as well as, believe it or not, parts of Ireland. The original black Irishmen were the tribe of Dan. And we're going to talk about that and more in our Hebrew and Bible Academy. The split between Israel and Judah. Who is Christ? Historical evidence that Christ existed. Now in modern times, the world can outright challenge his past existence. You never see these other people asking, well, what's the true validity of Buddha or any other, or Muhammad and all this? But yet, Jesus, or the one they call Christ, is the one in question now on whether or not there's any historical facts he ever existed. Notice that they're questioning whether or not Christ existed. And we're going to show the archaeological and the history proof that he did exist. That he did exist, okay? Outright in this academy. And not just from our Hebrew historical records, but also from secular history, from the Gentiles, who also chronologize the greatness of our Lord and Savior, our King, whom the world ignorantly call Jesus Christ. The Hebrew and Bible Academy is a 3-month online Hebrew and Bible history course, which includes 12 weeks of live biblical lessons each Sunday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. in a private Ustream link that you'll get. We teach the original Hebrew language, including conversational Hebrew and proper grammar. We also provide in-depth Bible teachings on the true history of the world, and of course, real-time prophetic world news. With Shabbat so happen to be in the room. Shabbat, what you got? Say something. Let me hear you.
Shalom, shalom.
There, he's in the house, so he will be there next week. Watch out. He's getting the news, and it's not like any other news on earth. Real-time prophetic world news with on-the-ground interviews from around the globe. Backed by popular demand, you can now download You can now download all the Academy videos for your exclusive, unlimited viewing going forward. That's backed by popular demand. You don't have to worry about, well, can I get it? Why couldn't I get that specific teaching that went through those 3 months? Well, listen, you paid to get in the Academy. You can get the downloads and make sure you keep them for what? Keep them for your own viewing, because why? Every time I see a lesson, there's something that that even when I look back at it, I didn't know was in there. So each one teaches one. So what happens is when you review the video back, you'll always see something you didn't see the first time. So you have that option to download and also grow in your learning. Backed by popular demand, you can now download the viewing, and this is how to enroll. We're currently accepting enrollments until Friday, June 23rd. The class is only a fee of $150 per person, period. That's all it is. It's less than 30 cents a day for 3 months. Okay, it's 30 cents a day. Okay, per person for the full 3 months course, and can be paid up front or in 2 installments of $75 each. $75 the first month, $75 the second month. And please note the second installment will be due after 5 weeks, and the Academy is not offered in halves. Okay? If you would like to enroll directly, please go to historytimes.org go to the site if you Gather to Christ Church, and you'll see this particular flyer there. We can click on the flyer to reserve your seat, or you can go to historytimes.org directly into the queue to start doing your Academy enrollment. And we have the Academy team on standby. Blessings. We all thank you for all your support and the continual growth of our Hebrew and Bible Academy. Stay tuned for our giveaways. We'll have both historical books and t-shirts this time. I've joined the Hebrew and Bible Academy. I've graduated the Hebrew and Bible Academy. Okay, we're going to try to get some coffee mugs and give them away to brothers and sisters who wake up in the morning with their tea. We also will be opening the Academy with live Zoom chats so that you can participate, interact with the elders real time during the Academy. We can't wait to see you there. We cannot wait to see you there. historytimes.org. Okay. All right, Elder Lawyer, let's jump right in now. Let's jump right in. All praises be to the Most High, the God of Israel, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Today we're going to go into a deep lesson on idolatry. What was Satan's plan with instilling the spirit or the worship of idolatry through statues? What was his end game? Was that the beginning of what he would deem an idol? Or is there more to it? Why is it that the God of Israel had a serious rule or law for the children of Israel to abstain from idolatry? Well, that and more you'll learn in this particular lesson. Get your pen and pads together. We're going into, that's right, you see the title, an idol of fear. Now we'll begin the idol of fear by first highlighting one of the more pronounced, one of the more popular idols known to man today. The so-called statue of Jesus. Now, I need y'all to really examine the power which exudes from this piece of stone, what it represents. Does it represent the love of Jesus? Or is it a celebration of Roman conquest, conquering? A reminder to all those who worship this image of how they were conquered. An idol of fear. And what's not being showed in this particular idol is the slave labor, where even the conquered had to participate in celebrating their demise. How did we get here? This is a particular statue from Rio de Janeiro. The conquered tribe of Judah. Now there's also within these particular areas in Brazil, Asherites. But the majority of the people in Rio, in Brazil, are from the tribe of Judah. Right? So you see this, the conquering idol. And not just this idol. They've all come together at the very end. Buddha. The god of the Asians, East Indians, the idol of fear, a reminder to these nations of the gods they serve, who've empowered them, but also have the power to destroy them if not worshiped. We're going into this today, brothers and sisters. Idols of fear. Shiva. We're going to go into it. East India. Satan at the very last have brought all of the people under these gods together to come against the children of Israel, who has always understood the threat that comes with those who serve these lesser gods. And as you can notice, Shiva sort of look what? Androgynous. Is it a woman? Is it a man? Even when I speak to East Indians, I used to speak to them. There was quite hush mouth on what they really worship. When I thought in America that, okay, Buddha was just a fat Asian guy. That's the only statue I seen. And then they say, well, no, Buddha, there's male and female Buddhas. I'm like, interesting. Is this the reason why there's a rise in transgenderism in the West? Are they now ushering out the gods and goddesses who were androgynous or outright hermaphrodites? And folks, you may think these are just idols. Now, we all know this first guy. Cesar Borgia. Okay? But it tells us, a matter of fact, let's get that, Elder Lawyer. Let's get that in Wisdom of Solomon 14. Because what the Romans were able to do with this guy is deep. A lot of you don't understand that revered, powerful men throughout history and antiquity, after passing over, the elites can do what? They can actually elect to have these men respected and worshiped under the pantheon of the gods they serve. Oh yeah, that's what they do. So you can have other gods they worship, but if this one man was able to show forth power of a God on earth according to the Gentiles was able to kill, destroy, unite, conquer, then the elite of that particular nation would elect to have that particular man moved into the pantheon of gods. This is what the Vikings did with Esau. Esau has another name. The Eastern Europeans and others understand this. The father of the Europeans, the Edomites, Odin. Odin is Esau. So after he passed, his sons began to worship him, to put him into the pantheons of the gods they served. And they renamed him Odin. Well, guess what? The Romans have done the same. They took a conquering man whom the world would fear, a poisoner, a person who had incest with his sister. He poisoned all of his father's enemies to consolidate power under the Borgia. Such a great work under Satan after death, they've moved him within the pantheon of the gods. They call him Jesus. Boy, do we have a lesson for you today. An idol of fear. Subconsciously, this image right here has a fear component, a reminder of the conquest, death, and evil that came to the land with the image. Subconsciously, the people don't understand it. They worship it. But guess what? It instills fear in them, because it doesn't just extend, it extends from this statue, from this dead image. It's a reminder of who you cannot do what? That you cannot do anything against without recourse. It's a reminder. If you do anything to this particular man who looks like this, it comes with what? Consequence. Now, a black man, you can do whatever you want. He can be discarded according to them. But this is a common thing amongst the elite powers to instill an idol of fear in people subconsciously. Let's read it, Elder Lawyer. Let's go. Hit the like button. Come on, help us out now. We're going in. I do a lot of work here now, getting these topics together. Help us out. I'm going to show you where we're going with this too, folks. Because Satan's plan wasn't to keep the spirit of idolatry in dead stone, gold, or silver. That wasn't his plan. That's the ancient form of idolatry. But the disciples and others understood Satan's plan with idols. With idols. The disciples, the Bible, the New Testament, Christ, and others, guess what? They gave us some insight to what Satan's plan was in instilling idolatry within the systems, his Babylonian systems. That was just the beginning. What was his end game? Well, let's first go into this idol of fear here, Sejra Bozier. Let's read it, Elder.
Yes, sir. The Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, verse 8. But that which is made with hands is cursed, as well it as he that made it, he, because he made it, and it, because being corruptible, it was called God.
Because being corruptible, it was called what?
It was called God.
It was called God. See, and here's the trick they've played on people. Here's the image, the idol of fear that's been plastered in the minds of our people out of chattel slavery. Even the 10 tribes who were conquered. Here's the image they had to bow to. Okay? Here's the image they would learn in Sunday school. Right? And as a result, they would give respect to conquerors as masters. Understand this. It was called God. So, of course, in the Catholic ideology, which is Satanism, repackaged. Babylonian mysticism and Satanism repackaged. They had to do what? They had to create a doctrine that would have people believe, listen to the doctrine, Christ is God. He was called God. So by pushing this theoretical exegesis, this theory, when people think of God, they'll think of Caesar. So they came with this theory, this philosophy, this new doctrine that's taught in the Western world under the Romans, folks, to teach Christ as God, because by default, subconsciously, here's the God who have been plastered into the minds of people. When even Christ tell you, I came not down to do my own will, but the will of him that sent me. When he say, me and my Father are one, he came to do the will of the Father. At the Garden of Gethsemane, let this cup pass me, Father. But if my will be done, but let your will be done. Who was he talking to? Himself? See, they trick people. 1 John 5 and 7, there's three that bear record in heaven, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. The three are one, which means they agree in one like the first family. The Father is not the mother, neither is the mother the Son. They agree in one. But as you can see, they needed a doctrine to instill, that's right, the fear in people. If you go against this image, this idol, you're going against God. Read it again.
Verse 8, Wisdom of Solomon 14 and 8. But that which is made with hands is cursed, as well it as he that made it.
So what we're looking at is a curse, especially for our people who acknowledge this and worship to this. It's a curse. Read on.
He, because he made it.
He, because he made it.
And
speaking of the Gentiles, Esau in particular here, he, because he made it.
And it, because being corruptible, it was called God.
And it, being corruptible, it was what?
Called God.
It was called God. It isn't God, but by using their theories and their satanic religion, that's right. The Romans deceived the whole world into believing this is God. It was called God. Come on.
Verse 9. For the ungodly and his ungodliness are both alike hateful unto God.
So God himself hates these idols. How can you call it God or the Son of God when God himself hates idols? And understanding what Satan's plan was for them and with them. Folks, this is going to blow your mind. You think you're going to hear something you heard before today, but no, we're quantifying the danger of idolatry. See, back then, brothers and sisters, there weren't movies. There weren't any, there weren't movies or anything outside of people who went to plays and theater and the Marb back then. See? So in order to instill the fear of the conqueror, that's right, idols were used as a form of population control. That's one level. One level is the fear of those who conquered you. Another level to keep the population of the conquered in order. But then there's something else. What if this opened you up a doorway for demons to enter? And that Satan's plan wasn't to stop at a statue, but would make you the walking, living idol that God hates. What if that was the plan? Because eventually they knew we would find out, right? So Satan couldn't stop there. He knew we would figure this out. So his plan wasn't initially just to have idols. I want them. I want God's creation to become my idols. Oh, we going in. The idol of fear. Let's go. Come on. Let's do it. Come on.
Yes, sir. Verse number 10.
Come on.
For that which is made shall be punished together with him that made it.
So we know there's a judgment for this. For that which is made will be punished together with him that made it. Read.
11. Therefore, even upon the idols of the Gentiles shall there be a visitation.
By who? I'm going to show you. Read.
Therefore, even upon the idols of the Gentiles shall there be a visitation, because in the creature of God they are become an abomination.
They become an abomination. Satan have actually accomplished his plan in using wood and stone and metal, by transferring the spirit of idolatry to people. And the Most High understood the danger of this. Hence the reason in the beginning when he gave us law, not the beginning, but when Moses came out of Egypt, he gave us law. One of the first laws was to do what? To serve the living God who saved us and to have no other God before him and not to bow down to any idol. And we're going to show you this because it's dangerous. It comes with a spirit of idolatry and disobedience. Right? So the first thing the Most High tasked the prophets, the teachers, the kings of Israel to do at any point of history was to do what? Cast out and rid all idols out of the land. If they crept in by the other Gentiles and all these others, the first thing the Most High would actually task the leaders was, before we set up anything, get all the idols out. You have something?
So scripture on that point.
Let's get it. Let's get it.
This is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse number 2.
Come on.
And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take for thy son. For they will turn away thy heart, or turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you, and destroy thee suddenly. Verse 5, key point. But thus shall ye deal with them. Ye shall destroy their altars, and break down their images, and cut down their groves, and burn their graven images with fire.
Look at that. So the task of the righteous was to get the minds of the people back towards the God of all gods. In order to do so, in war, we had to destroy all idols. Because idols is a representation of what? Conquest, spiritual takeover. And eventually, you become servants to the masters who worship the gods. It places you under lesser nations. So in order to break that control, this idol right here would have to go for what it represents. For what it represents. And that's why the Most High says what? Let's read that last piece again.
Yes, sir.
The 10th verse.
Wisdom of Solomon 14, verse number 10.
Read 11.
Verse number 11. Therefore, even upon the idols of the Gentiles shall there be a visitation, because in the creature of God there are become an abomination and stumbling blocks to the souls of men, and a snare to the feet of the unwise.
And it's a snare to the feet of the unwise. Now, why is it worded that way, folks? A snare. Because you have to understand what a snare is. Right? A snare is a trap that you'll step into unknowingly. There's no sign to tell you the snare is there. Someone can dig a deep ditch that'll have you break your legs and put shrubbery over it, where it looks just like the regular ground until you step into it. A bear trap is a snare. They'll cover it up so that the bear don't know it's there. So this is what the elite powers, these Satanists, has done with modern day religion. They use religion to cover up the trap and only teach the unwise the benefits of the snare without letting them know it's a snare. Oprah Winfrey. Oprah. She'll sit on the couch and bring some Asian demon, Satanist, into your living rooms. using psychology and all that to have a what? A more peaceful life if you take on this ideology. All right? They'll sell it as peaceful life, and it's the Christ, what they call it. They call it
Christ consciousness.
The Christ consciousness. If I want the Christ consciousness, I'll read the Bible.
That's right.
You know, the book that shows his life, his prophecy. But they will come with Christ conscious. Why are they saying this? Because they're now, to the unlearned, deceiving those who believe in Christ to believe it's okay to dive and operate on the outside of Christ. So they'll use a trigger word like Christ consciousness. And it isn't Christ consciousness. It's a snare.
That's right.
Because the same people that will use Christ to actually lead you into their ideology, on one point they'll use his name to trick you into going to the snare. But then in the next breath, they'll say, no to the Bible. In the next breath, they'll tell you the Bible isn't the only book we should be into. So why will you try to use Christ as a Lord? So that's the hypocrisy, but they can only do what? Deceive the unwise. Read it.
Verse number 12.
And it says, and become an abomination and stumbling blocks. Read.
To the souls of men, and a snare to the feet of the unwise.
To the feet of the unwise. They're targeting those who they know haven't actually read the Bible and believe in what? The tenets and the commandments of it. These are people who believe in Christ. They believe in Christ, but it's more so under tradition. Under the recreation of going to church. But we aren't wise in what? In the book we claim to believe on. And the Satanists play on this. And some people ask, well, why is the Hebrew and Bible Academy so important? Why are these lessons so important? So that brothers and sisters can take ownership and understand that everything they need is in our book. To avoid idolatry, to avoid falling into the snare that places us as a result under the Gentiles who have delivered their idols to us. It says, and a stumbling block to the souls of men, and a snare to the feet of the unwise, those who don't even know the book, who need to get back into it. Read.
Verse 12. For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication.
The devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication. Now we're getting into why God said, stay away from idols. Because on the surface, it seems innocent. On the surface, it's nothing but a piece of statue or a piece of art. See, on the surface, it's not harming anyone sitting over there. A matter of fact, it's Art Deco. It ties in the room. But they're not letting you know the spirit that Satan had behind these idols. His end game wasn't what? A statue. His end game was you. Was us. His end game wasn't to stop here at Cesar Borgia. I'm going to program through psychology the spirit of idolatry in the people, and I'll use them to influence others to follow me. The gig is up. Okay, they know this demon right here that they call a God isn't Christ, but that wasn't my plan. So the devil is a snake. He's a serpent. He understands, folks, to use the lie all the way up until we figure it out. And by the time you figure it out, you're already indoctrinated into the next lie. And guess what? Neither do the elite who set it up and others in charge. You've never heard them come back at any time and apologize for the lies of past history. They only admit it once we figure it out and the lie doesn't work anymore. And now they're just on to the next lie. Don't hold your breath waiting for them to actually apologize for this image. Don't hold your breath. They say, so what you know? Now what? Mm-hmm. Now what? Okay, the gig is up. I understand. Why don't you do it this way? Okay, now that you know that he's not Christ, accept Buddha. See? Not apologizing for the last idol that have totally destroyed the minds of people and then switched it off by using television. Not realizing by ushering in this God in a so-called Judeo-Christian country, the Western world called America, that they were actually paving the skids for the Asians to take over. One God falls and another stands in its place. See? When we thought the white man was God, says a Vereer, it was all good. Right? But once we figured out that the Israelites weren't white, and it's okay to say so because even white people know this. It's not racist. It's a fact that Christ was a black man. Now we found out we were the Israelites and that you cannot be another ethnicity by converting to a religion. If I was to convert, or we see people every day simple out of their mind in our neighborhoods who don't know their head from a hole in the ground, who jump from Christianity and say they're spiritual and become Buddhist. I need y'all to think about this. They become Buddhists. Why? Because Esau is saying you didn't figure it out. It's okay. As long as we can conquer you or snare you into another form of idolatry, it's all good. You'll still serve us. So yeah, we admit we're not the people. Get yourself a Buddha. All that chaos and crime in your neighborhood, you need a religion of peace. And we'll usher it in with Tina Turner. May the Most High rest her soul. I never speak ill of the dead. Who they used her to pivot from Christianity into another ideology to help and soothe the abuse of our women. It was a program to make all men look abusive, to move them from Esau being their savior to Buddha. The devising of idols, that's right, was the beginning of spiritual fornication. Esau don't care if you worship him as Christ, as long as you are an idolater. And they'll bring in the next group of spiritual soldiers to stomp us out, to finish what he couldn't as God. So when they usher in the Asian ideology, we didn't know that there was going to be millions of Chinese coming behind him. We had no idea that was the plan. But when you usher in their God, see, our people understood this in the old time, in the Old Testament, that if you begin to bring in the gods of the other nations, it won't be long before the people who worship this particular idol comes behind the spirit of the idol. Our people of old time knew this. Now you go into our community, not too many people believe in the Bible or Christ anymore. They're all over the place. And you will go into their house and go and speak with them. They're in yoga classes. They're in yoga classes doing poses to the ancient gods and goddesses. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. So Esau say, well, okay, the gig is up. They know that this is a lie. Let's pawn them off to Japheth. Come on in, Japheth. Let's use a black woman with issues and put her on TV, soft-spoken and educated, who couldn't get it right in the world, to be used as a pawn to destroy and divide houses within the black community by her ushering in a new religion, Oprah Winfrey. But she came in under Christianity. She came in all those slave pictures and all these slave productions where they had church as the background with the steeples and the black pastor. Got everyone. The same thing with Tyler Perry. The backdrop is Christianity. The backdrop is church. That's the sneer. But once our people begin to figure it out, boom, they say, okay, don't worry about it. We're going to bring in those who worship the dragon. And if you want to understand that about the dragon, look at our lesson a couple of weeks ago, last week. And then if that's not enough, and we got something for you, let's bring in Shiva. Let's bring in Shiva. East Indians, Asians, all over the place. What's going on? The beginning of spiritual fornication. Let's read this out, Elder Lawyer, at the end. And we're going back to this later.
Yes, sir.
And the invention of them are what?
It says, and the invention of them, the corruption of life.
The corruption of life. Who knew that these idols represents the corruption of our people? Who knew this? See, it comes under the guise of peace. It comes under the guise of chi. See, that's how it comes. It's presented. But you ask all these people behind closed doors, truly, what whether or not their spirit was disturbed or peaceful while dealing in these Asian philosophies, and they'll let you know it was chaos. Look at Bruce Lee. The last conversations about Bruce Lee, it was deep because he was being tormented. End up dying an early death. And this is what y'all don't know, folks, and there's also stories on this. Okay, Bruce Lee in the United States, folks, he was hanging out and getting all of his insight and all that from our people who were going through the struggle during that time. Okay? He would hang out with Kareem and all these others, and growing up during the struggle when those who had power was using their influence for our people, he was influenced by that. Even was popping up in church in California and all that. Heavily influenced by our people. China didn't like that. He was disturbed at the end of his life. Tina Turner turned to Buddhist. You see, there was never a follow-up on her life and the torment she experienced by letting Buddha in her life. It just went dead because the only memory they wanted out there was what? Black men are abusive. And check out the lives of the people in our community who run into Asian ideology. You talking about some of the crazed, whacked out individuals who need help. Not realizing the only help is in the book, the Bible. These people who follow these Asian religions amongst our people, there's no peace with them. But with the other nations, it's different. They can have a Buddha and all these other things. You go around their house and everything looks like it's in place, it's in order, and all these others. But in particular, what is the religion of choice, quote unquote, for the majority of homosexuals today? And all due respect, because I know a lot of them have gone through a lot. Some of them abusing all this. So I'm not against someone or a child who've been assailed. Outside of this pride stuff they're pushing, I ain't even dealing with that. The individuals who are suffering, I pray for. But all in all, to get some level of peace, because they can't get peace in the Christian church, which actually does what? It reminds them of their activity every time the preacher says, open up the Bible. So they seek a religion which will readily accept them the way they are. Because the spirit of transgender and all that is an Asian ideology of the fallen angels and the Nephilim who had both sex organs, hermaphrodites, androgyny. So they'll readily turn to an Asian philosophy because it was always accepted under these religions. Now jumping right in, Elder. Idols of fear. Let's go to Leviticus. Matter of fact, let's see. Let's go to Exodus 20 first. And let me say this, brothers and sisters, as we go through this, please, brothers and sisters in particular, please don't get offended. Please don't get offended as we bring forth the word. When we bring forth the word of God, guess what? It's a two-edged sword. It cuts both ways. Mm-hmm. It cut both ways. So when the Most High, through the Holy Spirit, have us coming before you, and you be thinking as we go through this, he's talking about me, or this is something, why am I being attacked? Folks, understand, sister or brother, it isn't you who has become defensive. It isn't you who's getting attacked. That's an identification of the spirit who have you in bonds. You have to separate yourself from the spirit which becomes offended, because it's something else. It's you recognizing what wasn't there before. That's the power of the book. It cuts through bone and marrow. It even cuts through spirit. It separates your spirit from the spirit of idolatry that have attached itself to all of us. And guess what? It started with Adam when he says, you shall be as gods, knowing what? Both good and evil. Mm-hmm. What are the gods? The angels, the fallen angels. So the spirit of idolatry started with our mother and father. It's part of the malignant root. And it usually comes into play through flattery. It comes into play when one is validated. Okay? It comes into play. So it works on either side. It works on one side when you feel you're being attacked, not realizing it's the idol in you. Then it comes on the other side to be revered and respected when someone flatters you. At the end of the day, we stay temperate, and in any praise or acknowledgement that comes, it's responded with, all praises to the Most High. Mm-hmm. All praises to the Most High. He's the worker of it all. He's the reason we're here. He's the reason we do what we're gifted to do. But when man cannot see God, they give all reverence to what's in earth. And that's what that's the satanic plan of making man an idol. And I'm putting the cart before the horse, but I'm going there to say, as we go through this, brothers and sisters, please don't get offended. Let's read Exodus 20. Let's read it.
Yes, sir. The book of Exodus, chapter 20, verse 1.
Yes.
And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage.
Come on.
Thou shalt have no other gods before me.
Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Now, folks, the original understanding of idolatry, and I went into this in the academy, is pre-flood, the whole history. I can't talk about it now, but I go in more so tracing the serpent seed in the next academy. Also, I'm going to talk about this. There was a being, Satan under another name, living in the Tower of Babel. Okay, I was going into this 4:30 this morning. Wait till y'all see this, folks. That was living in the Tower of Babel, who emerged from the sea. There was a dome in the waters where some of the beings, Satan himself, was under the layer. He's later was called Poseidon, another name for Satan, under the Roman pantheon, the Greek and Roman pantheon. But under another name, that's right, the tower was the house of Satan. He was a being there. Pre-flood, before the flood, when the gods came down in order to instill some level of control or fear in the people, the sons of Cain began to make, through art, idols of the fallen angels, to make small little knickknacks and others as a reminder of the gods of the city, who are the judges of the city. A constant reminder to fear the gods who came down, which was the beginning of idolatry, a reminder of the fallen gods. Right? That's where you get the statues from. Therefore, when we came out of Egypt, Egypt was a bunch of pagans. And I'm so glad that there's historical facts, historical proof in Egypt, where our God smashed all the gods of Egypt. Oh, you want to let my people go? All right, let's open up these portals and bring forth locusts. You had the priest and all that beating their head on the ground and all that. The priests of On crying and all that before Pharaoh. He was like, man, what am I paying you guys for? Fight back. No, we can't fight this God. Well, all these gods over here, there's got to be one of them that this guy belongs to. No, the God of Abraham is a different God. See? Like, what am I paying you guys for, you priests? Help us. He's sitting there scratching boils and pus coming out of him. You know, his pharaoh hat twisted. He's sitting there scratching flies on him. So I'm like, oh, let me get a glass of water. He poured his water to show you how super bad our God is. He poured a glass of water that was water in the temple into a cup, and the water that was in the basin, in the vase, turned to blood. What of your little gods? And this is why, folks, they put the fear of us through idolatry to worship these images, understanding that if we worship the true God of Israel, that begins the freedom of our people like it did out of Egypt. Huh? And this is why our God coming out of Egypt stated what? Let's read it.
Yes, sir. The book of Exodus chapter 20, verse number 3.
Let's do it.
Thou shalt have no other gods before me.
Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Read.
Verse 4. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image,
Any graven image,
or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth.
come on,
Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me.
And that's right. You hate God, worshiping Gentile religions, as well as bowing to satanic idols. And all of these religions our people have been destroyed through. Folks, there's an idol attached to them. And notice that if you follow and bow to these images, they bring on generational curses. It can be, don't forget, a generation, folks, is 50 years, according to the Bible. Imagine the curse on your children unto the third or fourth generation, which is what? 150 to 200 years before we realize the impact for idolatry, the consequences of it. And it's a shame that our people continue to hand down the curses that didn't benefit us, didn't benefit the mother and father before us, to harm our children for handing down the religions that have destroyed us. That's the power of idolatry, folks. Hence the reason why the Gentiles put so much money and backing behind it. The power of it is not just about you and what religion you follow. You're handing over our children to them. We're handing over our children to them. Because what? Children does what they see the parents do. So if you got a Buddha, if you got an idol in your house, what do you think your children gonna do? Here it is, you're treating this thing as something precious. Where now the children are punished if they break it. So what do you think the children are going to do? They're going to understand, okay, this is something supernatural for good luck, something that worked for my mother and father. Hence, the curse continues. And this is why all the Gentiles have sent their reinforcements into America, because there's something going on spiritual in America. Judah has awakened. And you notice, America is supposed to be a Judeo-Christian country. That's what they told us. That's what Great Britain was supposed to be, a Judeo-Christian country. Well, if that's the case, why are you letting idolaters who's bringing an entirely different religion, anti-Bible religion, in droves into the country? To make it where the existence of what? The Bible values and traditions will eventually cease through time if these other nations multiply beyond those who believe in the Bible. To show you, it wasn't about Christianity at all. It was only about Christianity, right? It was only about Christianity when we thought they were the people. This is high-level politics and mind control. That's when it was about Christianity. But now that the children of Israel, the children of Judah, our people, Benjamin, Levi, and even the 10 tribes who were conquered with this demonic image, now we've come into the knowledge that we're the lost sheep of the house of Israel, all bets are off. All bets are off. They don't care about Christianity. They never did. It's about power. Let's bring over the idols and flood the cities with idolaters. So where are these immigrants going? Put them where the blacks are. Have them outpopulate them, overrun them. Spiritual warfare. And you know why? Because we didn't listen. God told us, our God, Ahia, told us in the Bible, stay away from idols. How do you know an enemy of God? Folks, these enemies of God don't hide their intentions. They don't hide their intentions. Enemies of God bring idols into God's temple. Jerusalem, Israel, is God's people. Any place we are is the temple of God. So an enemy show his what? His aggression or his intent against you by bringing the idols he served from his country to place them into your temple. That's what's going on in the inner cities. Straight disrespect. Read it. Come on.
Verse number 4, Exodus 20:4. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth.
Come on.
Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me.
When it says third or fourth generation, I don't know what nonsense people are talking about this has something to do with reincarnation. That's nonsense. That's saying if you deal with idolatry, it will affect your children for at least 150 to 2,000 years. It taints your bloodline with a curse. That's all it's talking about. I don't know who looked at this and say, you know what, third or fourth generation, that means I'm coming back. Simple as a day's old. That means if the father and mother show forth what? The examples of paganism in reverence to other gods in the presence of their children will continue the paganism. And it would take at least 150 to 200 years to break the curse. That's all it's talking about. Right? 6, read the 6th verse for me.
Yes, sir. Verse 6, Exodus 20:6. And showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments.
So those that love him does what?
And keep my commandments.
This is the love and hate of God, folks. It's not the ridiculous emotions that they're teaching us in the world. Well, if you don't agree with someone's lifestyle, that's hate. Man, what are you talking about? Words have meanings. No. I don't hate or love. I don't agree. And if it's an action or sin against God, God has the right to hate it. It doesn't mean I hate the person, but the act is abominable to God. And yes, everyone should hate sin. Hate was abominable to God. So notice they'll put out there, if you can accept something that's ridiculous, that's hate. If I don't accept your politics against me, and I'm recognizing that you and your people have been attacking us since coming off the ship, I can't respond back to that hate unless without you labeling my response as hate. Man, this is a whacked out world. This is a whacked out world. I'm being assailed and attacked. Our people being stomped out by the other nations and other people dealing with alternative lifestyles. And we can't even respond to those who are destroying us without being labeled haters. What a crazy world we live in. And it says, keep my commandments. That's the love of God. Some people think just going to church and doing certain things and all that, it's all good. Guess what? It's all good. The love of God is keeping his commandments. That's how you show God you love him. It's not no type of emotion or feeling more so than an action. 7.
Verse 7. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain.
Now, these are the 10 commandments. Idolatry started off as the numero uno thing not to deal with. It's the beginning of spiritual fornication. Let's go to Isaiah 45, Elder Lawyer.
Sir.
Isaiah 45, and let's read 16.
Isaiah 45, verse 16. They shall be ashamed and also confounded, all of them.
A matter of fact, come on, let's start with Christ. Isaiah 45 and 14, let's read it.
Yes, sir. Verse 14. Thus saith the Lord, the labor of Egypt and merchandise of Ethiopia and of the Sabians, men of stature, shall come over unto thee, and they shall be thine.
And they shall be thine. All the merchants who have put their money together in trade to keep us under subjection. Folks, there's a judgment for them. They're not coming over here just for economical reasons. They're being told. Believe it or not, they're being prepped in their countries to know exactly who they're taking over by traveling into these other countries. They're being prepped. But like, look at all these new buildings and these dwellings being erected at the same time that our people are being put out of our homes. These are government agreements with idolaters and Satanists. Like, don't worry about it. You come over here and deal with these people for us, and guess what? The Democrats is leading this, but the Republicans is with it too, because they aren't stopping it. We're going to give you housing, financing, and all that with these people's tax money. We're going to cut these people off if you can help. If you can leverage yourself with us, leverage us and be the face of destroying Judah. And what we'll do behind closed doors is use the politics to protect you. Because Esau is saying what? Esau is saying, they see us now. They understand the religion con game that came with Christianity, and the gig is up. They see us now, but they won't see you. And they won't see you. Okay? We'll give you the budgets, the finances to finish what we started. Come on over. Open up a coffee shop in the neighborhoods of Judah. Right? We'll finance you. A matter of fact, the money the money, hold on. Here it is right here. A matter of fact, the money under civil rights that was for these people, don't worry about it. We're going to give it to y'all. We're just going to call y'all black and brown people. Okay? And because we think that the blacks are politically silly anyway, they'll be the ones voting for you to take their money and everything and give it to y'all. And when you get over there with y'all gods and goddesses, your hermaphrodite goddesses, your androgynous goddesses, stomp them out. Okay? Simple process. Let's read Isaiah. Let's go.
Yes, sir. Isaiah 45, verse number 14.
Come on.
Thus saith the Lord, the labor of Egypt and merchandise of Ethiopia and of the Sabians, men of stature, shall come over unto thee, and they shall be thine.
Read.
They shall come after thee, in chains they shall come over, and they shall fall down unto thee. They shall make supplication unto thee, saying, surely God is in thee.
They're going to realize that we're the people. And at the end, nah, we're not going to be bowing to any idol. Either will we bow to these people. Here's their future, folks. You think these people don't know the Bible? You think they don't know we're at the end of Esau's time? So they're trying to get in front of this prophecy Because they know at the end of it, those of our people who choose the God of Israel will stand with our king after the fall of Esau. And surely God, they're going to know these nations who've always propped themselves against our people in these neighborhoods, in Africa and other places. Surely at that time, they're going to know that we are and were the children of God. They're going to say, surely God is in these people. That's why we have to stop acting out like heathens. Because it's justifying the nation's negative view against us. They're going to see us one day and say, there's no one. I knew these people were special. It was deeper than being recognized for hip hop. Recognized for being able to dance and sing. I knew something was up with these people because guess what, folks? As gifted as Michael Jackson and Sam Cooke and Whitney Houston were with the art of singing, as gifted as they were, guess what? Malcolm X and Martin Luther King were mutually gifted at viewing the political structure and breaking it down on behalf of the oppressed. They just want us to be recognized for one level of our gifts. But whatever we dive into, folks, as God's people, we become the best at. See? Okay. I'm going to tell you right now, folks, there's no place you can go on earth right now, that don't know Michael Jackson. There's no place you can go on earth right now who doesn't know Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. No place. Now I need y'all to tell me, what is the Chinese example of Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and Michael Jackson? What are just those three from other nations that any of us know about? So the Gentiles know there's something special in us. But Satan want to use the negative to make us a negative idol and a negative representation. And they're using the agents to do so, and I'm going to go into it. Or Whitney Houston. Where's the East Indian Whitney Houston at? Somebody break it down to me. Where's the agent? You can't get it. You go over there. I'm like, come on, man. Somebody put on "I'll Always Love You" real quick. Let's get some get right over here in Asia. Let's hit it.
Yes, sir. The bottom of 14.
Read it.
They shall fall down unto thee. They shall make supplication unto thee, saying,
You saying what?
Surely God is in thee.
They're going to look at it. The Gentiles are going to see us and going to say, you know what? Surely God is in thee. They're going to know we were way more gifted than singers. 15.
Yes, sir. Finishing off the last verse in 14. And
Yes.
there is none else.
And there is none else.
There is no God.
There is no God. They're going to realize the gods they serve weren't the right gods altogether. And the Most High has awakened us, the children of Israel, in the last days to actually teach the Gentiles of the true God. That's our position. That was Christ's, the disciples' mission. That was their mission. That's right, to teach the Gentiles of the true and living God. Read the 15th verse.
15. Verily, thou art a God that hidest thyself, O God of Israel, the Savior.
O God of Israel, the Savior, because it was our God who sent Christ. Read.
16. They shall be ashamed and also confounded, all of them. They shall go to confusion together that are makers of idols.
And they shall be ashamed and also confounded, you Gentiles. They shall go to confusion together that are makers of idols. That's their future. So see, we know, see, you have to watch and listen to some of their trick words under Western world politics. Their trick words. Inclusion. I spoke about that yesterday. Their trick words of, oh yeah, we just making refuge cities. No, if you got the money, you don't have to make refuge in America for these people. If there's some money for them, they can have refuge in their own country. They're not fleeing anything over there. So this is how they're trying to make it. Well, these are refuge cities for the poor of these other countries, while our people suffer. Watch their trick words, folks. These are refuge cities. We're being overran. This is war. They're using immigration to assail and to stomp out the word of God that has awakened the earth. Huh? All right, Elder Lawyer, let's go down to Ezekiel. Ezekiel 8 and 10. So that's the Gentiles' future. No more gods. But we're working on making sure our people have nothing to do with their idolatry. How can our people teach the other nations worshiping the gods of the nations? And one thing else I want to know, I'm talking about these satanic, Roman, demonic apologetics that are out there. You notice there's a singular view of them trying to use these whack apologetics to attack Israelites who know they're Israel. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands, up into the millions of pagans are flooding America, and the apologetics and Christians aren't saying anything about the other religions that will eventually overshadow and destroy Christianity in the country. You would think that would be their greatest threat, to give some insight to Christians of what we are up against based on the religion these people follow, like the East Indians and Asians, which are really racist and anti-black religions and satanic religions they're bringing into the country. You would think they would say, well, hold up, these Israelites, they ain't really bothering anyone. They're dealing with the law. And they even, some of it doesn't make sense, but why should my focus be on a few thousand people, blacks who know they're Israelites, and not these hundreds of thousands to millions who are coming into a Christian country, bringing along with them a pagan, ancient, satanic religion that's anti-Christian? I need y'all to check that out, folks. Because why? The Romans are in league with these demons they're bringing over to destroy us. And then you have our people, simple as the day is old, in the Christian church, thinking that they're going to oppose the rise of Israel because Master got a hand in their back saying, I can help you, black Christian, keep the people in your church. You a pawn. You're being used by the devil, a devil's agent, who's provoking an internal war against black Israelites who know they're black and black Christians, dividing and conquering. That's what the enemy is known for. Yeah, white zaddy apologetic, please help us keep the pagans, the few that are left in our church, zaddy. And I know they're looking. That's why I'm saying it. Right? Let's go to Ezekiel Ezekiel 8 and 10. Let's read it real quick.
Yes, sir. Ezekiel 8, verse number 10.
Yeah.
So I went in and saw, and behold, every form of creeping things and abominable beast.
Now, these were our priests going off. Let's read it.
Yes, sir. So I went in and saw, and behold, every form of creeping things and abominable beast, and all the idols of the house of Israel portrayed upon the wall round about.
So I went. Now, these were our prophets here. So I went and saw and beheld every form of creeping thing, abominable beast. Now, mind you, the Most High said not to do this. And all the idols of the house of Israel portrayed upon the wall round about. Read.
11. And there stood before them 70 men of the ancients of the house of Israel, and in the midst of them stood Jazaniah, the son of Shaphan, with every man his censer in his hand, and a thick cloud of incense went up.
And a thick cloud of incense went up. Read.
Verse 12. Then said he unto me, Son of man, hast thou seen what the ancients of the house of Israel do in the dark?
Look what the house of Israel is doing in the dark. Now they began to set up what? Paganism and idolatry within the temple of God. Folks, this is what led to the fall of our people. Idolatry. Read.
Then said he unto me, Son of man, hast thou seen what the ancients of the house of Israel do in the dark? Every man in the chambers of his imagery. For they say, the Lord seeth us not.
They think there isn't a judgment. Speaking of these pastors and preachers who are doing what? Handing down the paganism and the idolatry of fear that came through slavery. They're continuing to deal with the captive religion freely. Now, I can understand to some degree, believe it or not, to some degree, why our people initially bowed in worship season. It was through force. In order to preserve their life alive, they began to do what? That's right. Compromise and acquiesce to the conquerors by serving under the Christian religion. But there's no physical or form of death that comes with us freely denouncing idolatry. Why continue the religion which is part of our enslavement? I can understand to some degree why some of our people say, you know what, we'll live to fight another day. Where the church at? But now our people, where there is no threat of death, is freely teaching masters idolatry in our neighborhoods. And someone say, well, hold up. We don't believe in idols in here. There's no white image up in here. There's no statues up in here. Well, folks, there is no physical idol in your church. Okay. But you have the religion that came and the ideology and the theology that came with the image. It's no longer statues. It's in you. You're practicing it freely as if what? There's a threat on you to do so. So you can put the image down, but if you keep the ideology, don't forget the image was there to enforce the ideology. So if you're dealing with the ideology, there's no need of the physical images no more. You are a willing slave to master. You become a willing slave. And folks, guess what? We know the enemy looks at this. They're like, oh, they're doing it again. You haven't seen anything yet. Hit that like button. So our priest, our if you want to put it in terms today, our highly educated, the prestigious and intellectuals amongst Israel began to push idolatry. The priests. It tells us that in Ezekiel. So the examples of that today we would see like Elijah Muhammad, Farrakhan, modern day Christian pastors. They're prestigious. Are they all wrong? Everything they're doing wrong? No. The priests of Israel, was everything they're doing was incorrect? No. There was a lot of good things these same priests were doing. It didn't change the fact that they began to allow idolatry to influence our people. See? So it's not like we're saying that it's all bad. These priests were doing good things. They were still on the Sabbath doing their sacrifices, bringing in the temple, praying over the people, sacrificing for the people. And guess what? Those people's sins were getting forgiven for the sacrifice they brought forth to these priests. But it didn't change the fact with all the good they were doing, they were idolaters. And it led to what? It led to our people losing Jerusalem. See? Let's go, Elder Lloyd. Let's go to Acts 17 and 29, New Testament. Acts 17 and 29.
Acts chapter 17, verse number 29.
Okay, let me get it here.
Yes, sir.
Let's read it.
Yes, sir. The book of Acts chapter 17, verse number 29.
Yes.
For as much then as we are the offspring of God,
it says, for as much as we are the offspring of God. Read.
We ought not to think that the Godhead is like unto gold or silver or stone, graven by art and man's device.
It says, for as much as we are the offspring of God. What does that mean? That means there were gods or rulers placed over every nation. But the God who made all, the God of Israel, we're his portion. We're Jacob. So we're the offspring. We're from the original God. Our beliefs is the original beliefs for earth. So it says, because we're the offspring of God, not attached to these Gentiles, Buddha and Caesar and all these other gods and goddesses they worship, we are not to think that the Godhead, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, is like unto gold, silver, stone, graven by art. Read.
And man's device.
And man's device. So the Godhead is God, Christ, the Holy Spirit. How do you know satanic idolatry in the earth? When they began to make idols to represent the Godhead. Mary with a child on her lap, which is really Semiramis and Nimrod or Tammuz incarnate. See? Christians read the New Testament and know this. That when it comes to representing the Godhead, God, Christ, the Holy Spirit, there should be no physical representation of that in the earth. Christians give less respect to God, the God of the Bible. In particular, when it comes to idolatry, than the Muslims actually give. The Muslims at least have enough respect for Muhammad not to make an image of him. Now, that rock is a whole nother thing. But they got enough respect for their prophet that it's against the law to make an idol of Muhammad to worship. They have more respect for their prophet than Christians have in the Western world for Christ. So a lot of you didn't even know this was the Bible about the ark, right? For as much then as we are the offspring of God, being the children of Israel, we are not to think that the Godhead is like unto gold, silver, stone, or graven by art and man's device. Right? So know that idolatry have nothing to do with the Christ you claim to serve, and you can't even walk into a Catholic church without tripping over an idol. or the candles are burning candles to one of the idols, which is really fallen angels. And the Most High knew that, guess what? Okay, our people lost the identity, didn't know we were Israel, henceforth gave us grace. Because we were ignorant to the fact and thought we were someone else, even under paganism, God accepted our prayers. But, read the 30th verse.
Verse 30. In the times of this ignorance, God winked at.
At the time of the ignorance of us dealing with idols, false representations of the Godhead through idolatry, God winked at. He gave us grace. He knew we didn't know any better. We thought that white man was Christ. So you know what? He says they're ignorant to the fact that this is the devil. So I'll answer their prayers anyway. And this comes to answer the question when people ask, well, what about my parents and others who didn't know better? Well, the times of the ignorance, God winked at. He knew our parents thought that was Jesus. We didn't have any history to refute it. Right? There was no history to refute it. So the Bible tells us in times past of this ignorance, God winked at. Read.
But now commandeth all men everywhere to repent.
But now that you know better, God commands the children of Israel, and guess what? Not just the children of Israel, you Gentiles. If you are from China, straight from the seed of Japheth, you ought to repent from being a Buddhist. Okay? And find the living God. If you don't know where he is, we're the children of Israel. We'll show you. Your God will fall. Doesn't matter if you're a white person. Doesn't matter if you are an East Indian. Doesn't matter if you're an Ishmaelite. Guess what? I have nothing personally against you all. You're spiritually being led into a ditch. And eventually there's a consequence for aligning yourselves as social soldiers against the children of God. You will lose this war. So put down your idolatry. At times past of this ignorance, God winked at. But now commandeth all men everywhere to do what?
To repent.
To repent, to change your ways, your trajectory that's being aimed towards destroying all that's right. Right? So even if you're in a Christian church, okay. The Most High winked at that. Yes, he heard your prayers there because you were ignorant to the pagan gods that were erected during chattel slavery. The Romans came over here. The apologetic Jesuits came over here. And they set what? They set up a spiritual stronghold by financing churches to push idolatry in the spirit of idolatry in our neighborhoods. So our God knew that. So even in those churches, the Most High would hear our prayers and say, you know what? They don't know. But now it's no excuse. Because with knowing you're an Israelite or you're the people of the Bible comes what? An accountability to God's law. You can act like, and guess what? Just because you deny it and don't want to accept it doesn't mean you're not going to experience the judgment for not following it. Right? Let's get a little bit more, and I got to show a few things here.
Yes, sir.
Let's go to Acts 19 and 26. Acts 19, and let's start at 26, because why? That's right. Let's start at 21. The Gentiles, speaking of the Romans in particular, that's who the Europeans are. The white people are Edomites, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's who they are. They were known for what? Idolatry. in the ancient pagan temples of Rome. Okay, it's nothing against what they're talking about. It's just a fact. Historically, the Romans worship in the temple, burning incense to fallen gods. And it continues till this day. Let's get Acts 21, 19 and 21. Let's read it.
Yes, sir. The book of Acts, chapter 19, verse number 21. After these things were ended, Paul purposed in the Spirit, when he had passed through Macedonia and Achaia, to go to Jerusalem, saying, after I have been there, I must also see Rome.
I must also see Rome. So Paul was traveling, right? Come on.
So he sent into Macedonia 2 of them that ministered unto him, Timotheus and Erastus. But he himself stayed in Asia for a season.
He stayed in where?
In Asia for a season.
He stayed in Asia for a season. So the disciples, Christ and the disciples had interaction in the old world throughout the whole old world, including Asia, folks. And I'm saying this is because our people, even during crisis time, understood the danger and evil that came with the worships within these areas. Hence the reason Christ sent Paul to them. See? So when we were going out to these other areas, yes, we were going to Israelites in those areas, but you think we weren't teaching the Gentiles too? We were. Read.
23. In the same time, there arose no small stir about that way. For a certain man named Demetrius, a silversmith, which made silver shrines for Diana.
He made silver shrines for Diana, which is your modern day Mary.
Brought no small gain unto the craftsmen.
Come on.
25. Whom he called together with the workmen of like occupation and said, sirs, ye know that by this craft we have our wealth.
He said, listen, man, y'all getting in the way of our money. Why? Because the pagans of Rome, the craftsmen were known for selling idols. That was their what? That was their hot ticket. Okay? They would make statues that people could actually utilize in service and obeisances to the gods. So Paul and them were messing up the game there. Y'all coming over here with this Israelite Christ stuff, and now no one is buying idols off the shelf. You're hurting the game. See? So it started to affect the economy. This is why they come against Israelites, because they understand us who follow the law, how it affects directly the economy. They don't say it. But now, if our people aren't eating pork and teaching others not to do so, pork bellies do what? They drop. See? If we're teaching, well, you're not supposed to be out clubbing on the Sabbath and doing all these on Friday night and Saturday night, and all of our people decide not to go partying until the sun go down until Saturday, look how much money they would lose on Friday night. TGIF, thank God it's Friday. It's our ignorance that drives the economy, folks. You have Christians who will go out and have a good time on Friday and then rest on Sunday, the first day of the week. But if we did it the other way around and rested on the Sabbath, we would directly affect the economies of the earth. So this is why they don't want us nowhere Israelites. And people can't claim, well, that was the Old Testament. Paul was a threat to idolatry and the sin of idolatry in the New Testament. After Christ's death. So when you follow the money, this is why they want us under ignorance. Because through ignorance, the economy runs off of our ignorance, folks. I'm going to go there in a moment. So it was affecting their money. Whom he called together, right? Let's go back.
Yes, sir. 25. Whom he called together with the workmen of like occupation and said, sirs, Ye know that by this craft we have our wealth.
You know this is how we make our money, Paul. Why are you coming over here with this come back to God Christ thing, upholding the law? Look at all these idols I made. It took me years to make these idols, and now nothing is selling. Idols is like Bud Light right now. Back then, and then you can't. They're still on the shelves, right? Come on.
26.
Huh?
Can't give it away.
Yeah. You can't even give an idol away. So here it is. Paul was messing up the game. See, this is why they don't want the Israelites coming to the knowledge of the truth, because it would have a direct impact on benefiting us. And it would destroy the economy. The economy would be each other. So the nations know the next step in us knowing we Israelites is us supporting one another. They know this. And the merchants are threatened. This is why they open up the borders and say, listen, you better come over here now. Because all that money you are making off of these people, they're going to begin to support one another, and by default, under democracy, we're going to have to do what? We're going to have to actually bar you out and pay more attention to those who are controlling their own people. So if you want to be able to deal with this game of getting money off of these people, you got to come over here and help us leverage against them. Because they're not going to be buying your food. They're not going to be buying your clothes or nothing. They're going to destroy the connection you have with this economy. So you have to come over here and get right with these people. Bring your idols with you. So we're bringing real-time knowledge of the gospel of how it affected the earth politically, folks. This is why they instilled the fear of idolatry in the people, because it keeps you in subjection. And guess what? It keeps the economy and the power structure going. It keeps the status quo in place. How many Christians have you heard teach this chapter concerning Paul? Every time they go into Paul not understanding him, they try to use him to claim the law is done away with. Well, he's using the law against idolatry right here. Read.
26. Moreover, ye see and hear that not alone at Ephesus, but almost throughout all Asia, this Paul hath persuaded and turned away much people, saying that they be no gods which are made with hands.
There be no gods which are made with hands. So it was affecting what? The craftsmen. Because everything Paul was saying, it was true, and it affected the economy directly in the cities he was going into. Every place he went, it was like, oh man, here he come. Every time he come, people turn to that true God and do what? Renounce idolatry. Okay, listen, man, make spoons. Make forks. Okay? All right, do something else with your life. Right? Read the 27th verse.
27. So that not only this our craft is in danger.
Not only is our money in danger.
To be set at naught.
Read.
But also the temple, or that the temple of the great goddess Diana
the temple of the great goddess Diana
should be despised, and her magnificence should be destroyed, whom all Asia and the world worshipeth.
Who all the world in Asia worship. The church will be affected now. Because Diana is what? Was the Roman example of Semiramis, the virgin mother. So not only is this going to destroy the economy for the merchants who make idols, it will also destroy the money coming into the priests over churches. Check that out. This is Diana, which is Mary Semiramis, the Virgin Mother. The pagan temple that do what? That's right. It transfers the tradition of the government through the women to control communities. Huh? Easter, Christmas, all of that. Well, if you get the women in the temple, and through the temple, the traditions are conveyed, that's right. This is how you control a community. Through what? Through the women who are teaching the children and nurturing the families at home. Population control. Huh? Let's go.
Yes, sir. 27. So that not only this our craft is in danger to be set at naught, but also that the temple of the great goddess Diana should be despised, and her magnificence should be destroyed, whom all Asia and the world worshipeth.
Who all Asia and the world worshipeth. This is why they attack the Bible, folks, under these Asian ideologies. It exposes the demons they worship. This is why they attack the Bible. Read.
28. And when they heard these sayings, they were full of wrath and cried out, saying, Great is Diana of the Ephesians. And the whole city was filled with confusion, and having caught Gaius and Aristarchus, men of Macedonia, Paul's companions in travel, they rushed with one accord into the theater. And when Paul would have entered in unto the people, the disciples suffered him not. And the certain of the chief of Asia,
certain of the chief of Asia, the hierarchy of Asia, folks, read,
which were his friends, sent unto him, desiring him that he would not adventure himself into the theater.
They say, listen, don't go in there. Read.
Some therefore cried one thing, and some another, for the assembly was confused, and the more part knew not wherefore they were come together.
He was actually affecting the society with this truth.
Mm-hmm.
See, and this is what being an Israelite under Christ does. It disturbs the status quo. Christian churches keep the status quo going. See? When you break our people from that captive mind of idolatry, the fear of idolatry, it disturbs the system. And by doing so, it's ushering in a new era. A new era. A nation divided against itself cannot stand. That's what Christ said. See? So it's ushering in the next kingdom. So if our people knew any better altogether, because guess what? I know a lot of people go to Christian churches for socializing and other things. If our people knew any better in the community, if they really wanted to be saved through all of this, they would still do the same interaction with their own people on the Sabbath. Do everything they're doing and just move it to Saturday. Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. It would break everything. We can work out the rest of the ideology as we go. But the sign between God and his people are those who serve the Sabbath. The Most High through the Holy Spirit will bring the rest while you're on his day. See? Our people all together need to say, you know what? No more Easter, no more Christmas, no more Sunday worship. We don't have to leave the place and the people we're dealing with. We're going to do it on the day God said do it. And let's work out the rest. But the least we can do is count to 7. At the least. Let's start there. Some people think they got to change everything. No. Listen, just do the first thing. God said what? He made the earth in 6 days and rested the 7th. Start there. Every pastor, every preacher, every teacher who believe in God and Christ and claim to be a servant of God would do that first. It would break everything, folks. I'm not saying don't go to church and come with us and all that. Listen, the Most High says he dwell not in temples made with hands. Serve the living God. Pastors have what? A responsibility to say, you know what? Listen, let's keep this thing together. Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. We have Friday lessons anyway. And we're going to come in Saturday morning. We shut it down. We shut it down on Sunday. Sundays can be a regular work day. We'll turn our Monday work day to Sunday. Boom. Over. And by default, we all become one under God in Christ. Let's do what Paul did. Let's read it.
33.
Come on.
And they drew Alexander out of the multitude, the Jews putting him forward. And Alexander beckoned with the hand and would have made his defense unto the people.
Come on.
But when they knew that he was a Jew,
all
with one voice about the space of 2 hours cried out, Great is Diana of the Ephesians.
Great is Diana of Ephesians, which is Mary today. Read.
35. And when the town clerk had appeased the people, he said, Ye men of Ephesus, what man is there that knoweth not how that the city of the Ephesians is a worshipper of the image which fell down from Jupiter?
And the image which fell down from Jupiter. Folks, y'all know what this image is that fell down from Jupiter? The pieces of the Kaaba stone. It's the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire, in connection with Ishmael, erected the Kaaba. I got archaeological proof of that. You'll see that in the academy. The Kaaba is supposed to be this stone that fell down from heaven. It have nothing to do with the steps with Adam and all this other crap they're lying about. It's the stone of Mecca. Read.
Yes, sir, 35. And when the town clerk had appeased the people, he said, Ye men of Ephesus.
A matter of fact, come on, hold on. I got a few more. Hold on. Let's go to now, before we go to Romans 1 and 23, hold that. There's a few things I want to show. If you may. Yes, sir.
It's an interesting point in 34. Like, nothing's changed. For 2 hours straight, these guys were illogically just screaming out, Great is Diana.
Mm-hmm. Yeah?
For 2 hours.
For 2 hours straight.
It's the same today. You try to have a logical discussion and you just, it's like trying to talk to a dog.
Right. Yeah. Pass me the headphones if you may, real quick. Thank you. Before we tie this all up, and I'm going to tie it up in a minute, I'm going to show you where it's going. Let's go with the broidered hair and all that, Timothy. All right. Fair use.
Hey guys, so in 1992, villagers in Cheyenne, Baikun, Longyu, China decided to pump water out of one of the 5 lakes nearby. It wasn't an ordinary pond. It was actually thought to be bottomless. And the villagers had to do this because they lacked water for their fields.
Check this out, folks.
So they bought a communal pump and put it to work. As it turned out, a huge surprise was waiting for them. So after 5 days of uninterrupted pumping, a rectangular entrance appeared into an ancient cave. Now, 12 days later, the pond was officially dried up. It turned out that there was an entire complex of handmade caves under the village that are not only astonishingly beautiful, but on the scale.
I need y'all to check this out, folks. These are caverns of the gods and Nephilim, whom the elite of China would go in under secret rites and rituals to worship. Folks, they have these all over the earth. All over the earth. They have this also in Area 51. The worship of the Nephilim and gods who actually give what? The power elite the insight on how to construct, build, and to control cities, and that's including its people.
Scale never before seen in underground construction. So they first just drained one cave. The cave's area turned out to be about 2,000 square meters, 21,527
layers
square
of the
feet,
gods.
and it was about 30 meters or 98 feet deep. After that, they decided to start draining all the other caves, thinking that they were going to find a whole bunch of surprises inside. So in total, the underground grottos were spread throughout the village. And they made up a group of 24 artificial caves made out of sandstone and were made over 200 years ago. Now, they were never registered in any history.
Folks, y'all think this is something. Wait till you get in this archaeology history academy. I'm telling you. It's all coming into full view to why they had us deal with idols and all that. Because sooner or later, right now it's the immigrants. Soon they'll be ushering out the gods they've been serving behind closed doors, folks. They call it aliens, but they're not aliens at all. It's ancient gods. They're here. That's all I can say right now.
Historical documents, and all the walls and ceilings of the caves were decorated with carvings supposedly made with a chisel. I mean, we can only guess how much time and energy was spent to dig these caves using, primitive tools. Since the total area of the caves is over 30,000 square meters, that's 322,000 plus square feet. And get this, experts estimate that during excavation, over 1 million cubic meters, that's 35,314,000 cubic feet of rock.
Folks, look how small the people are compared to the ceilings in these buildings. It's all coming to light, folks, concerning the gods who've been hiding themselves under layers.
14,000 cubic feet of rock was removed. That is an unbelievable amount of rock. So the caves also have drains and stone stairs and pools, and they're all made according to one design.
Fair use.
The dome of each cave is supported by columns, and they expand from the entrance and have 3 vertical walls and 1 wall at a 45-degree angle. The cave system is called cyanohide stone chambers and was made into a tourist attraction. Lighting was installed to highlight the cave's beauty. 5 caves are currently open to tourists. Their walls are decorated with various images of people and animals. Some are very symbolic, like horses and fish and birds that symbolize land, water, and air. Concerts are also held in...
See, what they're not showing is the clouds from whence the devil came down. Here's the clouds, and under that is the dragon.
Lighting was installed to highlight the cave's beauty. 5 caves are currently open to tourists. Their walls are decorated with various images of
the clouds. And as you can see in the midst of that, what? A hole or portal. And there's another book I have on this. Out of the clouds and portal came the dragon.
People and animals. Some are very symbolic, like horses and fish and birds that symbolize land, water, and air.
I hope, see? You see how they try to gloss over this, folks? But if you're looking, you'll understand that these are what? That's right. These are the tracks of the gods. I'll be going into this in the academy. Now, here it is. This have nothing to do with these people. These people are pagans. They don't follow the Bible, but the Bible narrative is actually on the walls here about the serpent, the devil who deceived the world, who came down, 1/3 of the angels, Revelations 12.
Concerts are also held in the Longyou Caves because they have fantastic acoustics. Nevertheless, there are still a lot of questions, like how are the caves preserved so long? Why?
Well, we're not going to go into why they preserve. I'm going to say that for another time. But there's more I want to talk about. There's more I would like to talk about. The caverns, where are they now? We're going to talk about that later. In the academy, we're going to go into that. These secret layers where the elites would come and worship gods for technology, right? And through that, put the nations in fear. East India, Shiva, which is transgender. Male, female. At the same time, they're pushing what? Transgenderism in the United States, as if that's an issue amongst us. Folks, it's deeper. This is way deeper, because this transgenderism is really not an issue we're dealing with as a country or as people. Why do they keep pushing this and pushing this and pushing this? If not, that's right, folks. They're greasing the skids for something else. The gods who were in these caverns, male and female. Yeah. Speaking of that, I showed weeks ago about in 1894, a few months ago, that there was these people in East India with demons in them, worshiping Shiva and others, who were called thuggy or thugs. They were called thugs or thuggy. This is where thugs come from. Well, the thugs were known for what? Well, they were known for protecting the temple. Let me go down here. They was known for protecting the temple of Kali, East Indian, the mother goddess. They would steal, kill, and do anything for the goddess, Kali. They're worshiping Kali, the goddess. This is where we get the culture of thugs in our society. It's an East Indian ideology where the men become thugs and will die, go to jail, kill, steal, and destroy, and be dumb for women. So they took this ideology, that's right, this pagan worship of idolatry, and created this culture within the art of music to turn our men into thug-y idols, walking demons, who sacrifice for Kali. They used Tupac, allegedly, as the martyr or sacrifice that would, that's right, usher in these satanic nut jobs down here by the name of Thuggy. Let me go back. By the name of Thuggy. And when you look up Kali, I'm showing you why the East Indians are here, allegedly, because they're bringing over the gods and goddesses, but they had to first prep our neighborhood to receive the demonic gods and goddesses that destroyed, that's right, that destroyed the uncomely societies within East India. The subclass were destroyed in India by thugs. So that ideology were ancient demons and spirits that they would bring over into our culture, where the culture vultures, Rick Rubin and others, would initiate rituals to now push this culture in our community as a norm. And as you can see, Kali with the HEER has what? Has the head of the men that worshiped and fought and killed for her around her neck. If only they can teach the idolatry of the East Indian thugs to blacks, who were known as what? Prestigious, highly political, intelligent. Where they had a culture, we had a culture of music that moved us towards what? Family, love, staying together, unity, before hip hop introduced the thug culture. It was an Edomite, East Indian, which are Hamites, conspiracy to destroy our communities before overrunning them. A divide and conquer ideology. Fair use. Fair use.
Hello and welcome to Witness, the best documentaries from around the world, stories told from a personal perspective.
Fair
I'm Rida
use.
Fakhri. Perhaps you won't be surprised to hear that globalization means that women all over the world now aspire to much the same set of beauty standards.
Globalization. Globalization, listen to this word, New World Order, globalization. Let's do it again.
Hello and welcome to
Fair
Witness,
use.
the best documentaries from around the world, stories told from a personal perspective. I'm Rida Fakhri. Perhaps you won't be surprised to hear that globalization means that women all over the world now aspire to much the same set of beauty standards. Things like the long, luxuriant hair that many women wear in the form of hair extensions. But have you ever thought about where all that perfect hair comes from? Filmmakers Raffaele Brunetti and Marco Leopardi wanted to find out, and their revealing film answers this question by telling the story of two women in India and a man in Rome, who between them reflect the realities behind the demands of today's modern beauty standards. HEER India.
Fair use. Fair use. All the bad energy, listen, this is from the horse's mouth. All the bad energy will be in the hair. Now, why am I going into this? See, this is directly connected, believe it or not, folks, to biblical scenarios, where at a point of fasting, it would be where you would shave your hair. And during the fast, cleanse yourself of all that bad energy as new growth comes in, ushering in a new, good, righteous beginning. Times of mourning and fasting, guess what? People would shave off their hair. That's in the Old Testament. But in India, folks, they're not just cutting off any hair and sending it over here. They're sending over the hair with the people of bad energy. All the bad energy is in the hair, and you wonder why our communities have gone mad. This is why the Most High says, abstain from idolatry. I'm going to prove it.
In order to pay for his wedding to the goddess Padmavati, Vishnu had to take out a huge debt with Kubera, the treasurer of the gods.
The treasurer of the gods. The treasurer of the gods. Listen to that, folks. The people that are coming over to our country, the Asians and East Indians, know what's going on with the hair. Here's the history of it. No one is getting to the spiritual, the real spiritual understanding to why our community has gone mad. The East Indians know.
To pay for his wedding to the goddess Padmavati, Vishnu had to take out a huge debt with Kubera, the treasurer of the gods.
Now we're looking at Satanists here, folks. Straight Satanists, pagans, idolaters.
Kubera demanded a very high interest rate and decided that the debt would be extinguished over thousands of years.
Fair use.
Down the centuries, generations of devotees have continued to pay off the debt with money and jewels. Many have no hesitation in giving the only thing they possess.
Here it is. All the bad energy will be in the hair. So who thinks they're sending the good energy to our people? Now, with the hair comes an alter ego, where one takes on the spirit of a goddess because they'll get the recognition and validation of the goddess, Kali. So her expectations become different. She expects the gifts of the woman she have made in the mirror. And any other man outside of the goddess who doesn't meet the goddess expectations would be deemed settling. But if she was to deal with who she is in the mirror the way she is, guess what? She would understand that the man that she thinks she's settling for is really the man for her. Fair use. Check it out. Keep your head still. Have you told your teachers you'll be off school from tomorrow? I'll tell them we are going to the Shakalam temple. All the bad energy in the hair. Look, Gita, would you like to offer your hair? Gita, would you like to offer your hair? No, I don't want to. What? Why? How many times will I have my hair cut? Now check out their hair. She'll cut it off over and over again, and it'll grow right back even longer. And the girl is tired. How long would I have to offer up my hair to the gods? And automatically, they know exactly where this market is. It's not just blacks. It's not just black people, folks. Kardashian was used. Kim Kardashian was used as the new diva or goddess to push the image. Beyonce, others. It's not just black people here. But our sisters are affected more so disproportionately based on their texture. It's our women who are driving the market, who have built the supply and demand, and everyone is targeting the places where our people are. Judah, Benjamin, Levi. You can comb it when it grows again. Your hair will look beautiful again. Fair use. When will the villagers see you shave your shaved head? Fair use. Now let me make it clear. I want to say this before we see the There's a few more scriptures after this, and then I want to make this clear to people. Let me say this before I go through these scriptures and just go through the end of this real quick, right? I understand that a lot of our sisters are suffering with things because they weren't taught this information coming up and was just trying to deal with the standard of beauty that comes with the competition amongst women. I understand that. I sympathize with it, and I'm sorry that mothers didn't do a better job in actually saying, you know what, dear, you don't need this. Okay? And a lot of girls were doing what other people were doing, and by doing so, got caught up. Understandably so. But I spoke to a hairdresser, a sister who's a hairdresser over a year ago. And the topic of hair came up, and she said, well, here's the issue. She has a beautician shop in New Jersey and stated, here's the reality of the matter, that I'm needed as much as a doctor today. And I said, what do you mean by that? She says 80% of the women, black women, who come into my shop is bald. If not bald, close to it. And I said, I'm like, is that bad? She says, yeah, it's bad. She says, not just the elder women, but the younger women. And they're doing it through necessity. So I was curious, and I said, well, I grew up where women had their hair and it was long as children and all that. And this thing wasn't like it is today. She's like, yeah, but you didn't grow up in an era where there's glue, all these other things. The parents don't take care of the hair like it used to. Women don't have the time to deal with the hair like they did back then, where they was predominantly at home. So circumstance make it where really is no time. People just trying to make money. If it means throwing something over their hair and not taking care of their hair, it leads to baldness. And I wanted to invite her on the show because the answer is not to point to those who are suffering through this. And I feel and pray for those who are going through that. How do we break the curse? That's the answer now. The answer is we can't change what happened through our decisions. But why hand down the curse to our daughters? Why can't we suffer and show the ugly side of this so that our daughters won't suffer this? And I know even the Bible said baldness is a shame for women, and I can understand why. I can understand why the Bible say this, because hair is a woman's beauty. We understand how important hair is. But have we made ourselves into an idol to a degree, and I'm going to go there, that we're willing to have our daughters suffer what we are hiding? And if not so, will the curse ever break? Will the curse ever break unless the women say, you know what, I'm willing to show my shame, I'm willing to be who I am, so that my daughters can have a teaching moment to not deal with what I've gone through. And I believe at that time, I know it's not going to happen, but if it was to happen, our society would be level set, because the expectations will be what? Based on what we really look like. Fair use. They go to gods and goddesses. So keep in mind, the spirit of thug and Kaylee comes from demons of bad energy within these Asian cultures. Folks, these are the original Babylonians we're looking at here, who are targeting indirectly, knowingly or unknowingly, our people. Fair use. Look at this. And you know what's a shame about this, brothers and sisters, we're looking at? They know the destructive nature that comes with this, where it divides men and women, especially in our community. But when they come over to take our places, it be their men and women married together. See? While they have instilled the spirit of Kali and Thug in which we can fight one another, spiritual warfare. Think about it now. They're coming in with the replacements. And guess what? Where they're coming from, family is imperative. So you're talking about a disadvantage. All the Asian people coming into our community where we're divided, and they're coming in already married. It's only a matter of time before we cease to exist. This is spiritual warfare on the highest level.
All over the world, my friend, all over the world. Listen, I've seen your new price list. Okay, we just have to make some calculations because, of course, the prices are...
Oh, yeah. It wouldn't be... Listen. Listen, it wouldn't be legit if Esau wasn't over it. This wouldn't be legit if the Roman guy, the Roman, wasn't the cat pulling the strings. The strands. No pun intended.
Very high. Yeah, no, this is understood. I mean, the quality is undisputable. I mean, we were really, really happy with the quality, so that's, that goes without saying.
Look at this guy. Fair use. Hey, tripping. Fair use. Fair use. It's a shame. They even getting pops involved. Need a little gray piece? There it is. Babies, everything. All the bad energy will be in the hair. This is what the East Indians know. Your ego, thank you, Elder. Can you grab that? Yeah. Folks, they know this. And what's the answer? Well, if I don't get this, men are going to look at other people. I hear it over and over again, and men are saying, no. We would actually be together. Marriages would stay together if this image and this spirit of needing attention wasn't there. But women, it's hard for them to break it because what? There's an echo chamber of them talking to one another, not realizing the spirit of idolatry with women. Men don't understand the spirit of idolatry through thuggy. We think being a bad boy and having a bad image and being a scammer and all these other things that came from them is really the image to be accepted within our society, not realizing the Babylonians sold us this image to destroy us. So this is what Esau's plan was. Not Esau's, but Satan from the beginning. Let's not make it a physical idol. Suppose we put the spirit of that was in the statue to be worshipped in the real life creation of God, man and woman, and let them push the idolatry. Let's read it. Romans 1:23. Paul knew this. The disciples knew this. So as soon as we began to break down the evil of these idols, even after Christ, the devil, Satanists, and the elite say, you know what? We have to switch this up because they know idolatry is Satanism. We have to teach the ideology of idolatry where people, God's people, would take it on to push the wickedness on the earth. Bible. Oh, yeah. Let's go to Romans 1 and let's read 23.
Yes, sir. The book of Romans, chapter 1, verse 23.
Yes.
And changed the glory of the uncorruptible God and to the image made like to corruptible man.
So they changed the glory of the uncorruptible God. Read.
And to an image made like to corruptible man.
Like unto corruptible man. Thugs. Thuggy. This was socially engineered and taught all the way through, understood since the late 1800s. The spirit of thuggy destroyed communities. It happened in India. So the psychologists and others mimicked what destroyed villages in India and began to promote it within our music to destroy our community right after the crack epidemic. Knowing that the lion would roar and stand in truth out of these communities. They knew the Israelites would wake up, so they already had a play to have us self-destruct. Where the women would eventually put on the beauty, but through time, the beauty would destroy their image, where they would be dependent on makeup and putting things on. It would make them dependent on it. They knew it. And through it, insecurity. Not feeling good about yourself because what other people see you know doesn't exist. And by doing so, with the men being thugs and the women insecure, how could they come together to fight this evil at the door? This is what happens when we turn ourselves into idols. And on top of that, they came with Instagram, came with all these things. Now, well, it's about looking at yourself at all times and taking pictures so that we can make an idol of ourselves. And then you have to live to uphold that image. Every day, it's about seeing how many people idolizes you. Let's read it.
Yes, sir. Romans 1:23. And changed the glory of the uncorruptible God and to an image made like to corruptible man and to birds and four-footed beasts and creeping things.
And creeping things. Notice these are the same things that the Most High spoke against in Exodus 20th chapter. Making other gods and images of things that's in the air, under the sea, and all these things. They were able to accomplish it by having people take on these spirits spiritually. Where it's not about making the idol, the people have become the idol. Read.
24. Wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts.
To the lust of their own hearts.
To dishonor their own bodies between themselves.
To dishonor their own bodies between themselves. We're in the midst of so-called Pride Month. He gave them up to a vile affection, lust, where people will begin to deal with same sex. It all came in strategically. The drugs, the hair, the thug, all of these things, because by us actually accepting it, we accepted the spirit of what? A hermaphrodite as well as a androgyny. With Thuggy and Kaylee came these cross-gender spirits, where men started acting out more feminine, even though they were straight, and women started acting out more masculine, even though they were straight. You see why they don't like this Bible, folks? It breaks it all the way down. Where if a man is being a regular man in this normal society, a man is rude and misogynist and have toxic masculinity just for being the man God made from the beginning. Normal. That's how weak men have become. A woman is now a pick-me and all these others if she's walking in the spirit the Most High made her as agreeable and submissive to a man. Where now it's modifiers. I can be a good woman if he does this. I can turn on and be feminine if he does this. So if you can turn it on to be feminine, okay. What are you now? What are you admitting? Okay, in and out, part 2, idol of fear. Yeah, you know what the enemy does when we're resonating and getting through. When we're getting through to the people. You know what the devil does, but it's okay. Why? Because what we're doing here is groundbreaking, giving people the insight to understand how to detach ourselves from the spirit of idolatry. This was a spiritual attack our people didn't see coming. We didn't see it coming. When men began to take on the spirit of thuggy, and when you go into the spirit of thuggy, like I mentioned, brothers and sisters, the spirit of thuggy is from the thugs. A lot of you don't understand this through hip hop. Hip hop, the Satanist who's over the record companies, who's over the industry, did a designated effort to get our people under the mindset of the demon thug, knowing its destructive behavior, which destroyed communities in India. And then they started doing the hair thing. And when they began to do the hair thing, started making our sisters feel insecure with their hair compared to every other person, they gave our women the spirit of Kaylee, where women would be predatorizing and destroying and taken from man. When she put all of this on, one man isn't good enough. See all these men? All of these men were working to make sure they upkeep Kaylee. Folks, this is where your Instagram comes from. Look, he liked it, he liked it, he liked it, he liked it, he liked it. All of the heads of men like Kaylee. And look, and so did he. I want y'all to check this out. So it goes back to what Paul broke down. Let's read it.
Yes, sir. The book of Romans, chapter 1, verse number 23.
Come on, Romans 1, verse 23, read it.
And change the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible man.
Made like unto corruptible man.
And to birds. And four-footed beasts.
And creeping things. Read.
Wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts.
Read.
To dishonor their bodies between themselves.
To dishonor their bodies between themselves. It first started off with the drugs, and then it came in with the hair. And at the same time, thug life began to get promoted. 80s, 90s, into the 2000s. And then men started acting more effeminate, and women started taking on a masculine posture. This is how you destroy a nation. 25.
25. Who changed the truth of God into a lie.
They changed the truth of God into a lie.
And worship and serve the creature more than the creator.
Where now people will become the idols. Where you'll be paying more homage and respect to a man or a woman than God. Satan had a plan to turn regular people who God created into idols to be used as weapons to destroy. Read.
Who changed the truth of God into a lie and worshiped and served the creature more than the creator.
And now people are serving other people as idols, blessing them and giving them more credit than God. Every person in this society who have taken on the thug and Kaylee spirit are actually the idols the East Indians worships. The ancient demons. And you wonder why our community is destroyed. And when they come over with their products, they're coming over with family to replace you. While man and woman is fighting one another, guess what? They're coming over, even poor. So it's not about what they make, because they understand eventually they're taking your place. For this cause,
God gave them up to vile affections, for even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature.
Even the women have changed the natural use against that which is against nature. They set a system where women would be operating against their own nature, seeking to be equal with men, challenging men. A society where people are crazed out of their mind through promotions with these corporations, making people think a woman can do anything a man could do. What woman in their right mind would want to do what a man is doing? That's against nature. And when you get old past your prime years, you'll realize Satan tricked you. That the attention that a woman gets is finite. Your earlier years is when you are to get the highest man you can have, not challenging men in the workforce. Only to realize you missed the better part of your life with family, children, not struggling on your own. They trick women into wanting and desiring to be men. It's against your nature. This is why so many women now are popping what? Antidepressants to cope. In regret, looking back at their life and saying, my parents lied to me. Everyone told me to do this, and now look at my life. All these people told me to do these things are nowhere around while I'm suffering with the choices, listening to them. And then men dealing in the thug life, the natural use of and this talking about that. A woman changing their natural postures, but then also to a degree where there's no men, where women will begin to turn to other women for the sake of financial survival and become lesbians. Here's the cold, hard reality of self-idolatry that they're not talking about. Because here's the reality, and I want the sisters to understand this in particular, because I was in the corporate world. I worked in the corporate world. When a new girl come in there all fresh and all, inspirational and all that, and she's very new, all that attention in the corporate world goes to the new girls that comes in. until they age out. And then guess what? The next batch is actually looked at as that new girl in the corporate office. And they trick our women into thinking that attention and all of that goes on for an eternity, where they can make that high scale money amongst the corporations, when really it's a corporate world who just want something, a new fresh girl around them walking around the office. Not to say she isn't qualified, but there's a ceiling to that based on age, and women know it. And when you're past that prime where you're not that new girl anymore, eventually you're priced out of the market, and they move in another young girl in the means to make that same money in your 20s dries up immediately. And at the end of that, you're looking around saying, where are the men? That's a trick by Satan. And guess what? What I'm saying isn't just how men view it. Sisters know what we're saying is true also. It's not absolute all the time, because there's some women who can work on their own merit and do what they need to do to survive and do a great job at it. So I'm not saying all, but in particular, sisters know what I'm talking about here. I worked in the corporate offices, and there's a reason why there's always a new batch of young girls coming in. And when they come in, they believe they're going to be able to operate in the corporate world like that for 20, 30 years. That's not a reality. She's only there for what? She's only there for the freshness and the inspiration and the drive that happens in her 20s. That's what the corporations take full advantage of. A woman can't do this like a man. A man doesn't really start growing into his own until 30s, 40s, 50s. A man can do it well past 20, 30s, 40s, 50s. A woman can't do it like that. She wasn't made to do it like that. Women were supposed to be taken care of. And that's what that's the trick Satan put out there. When women get older and start to break down and sicknesses start to kick in, and now she still got to get up, bad back and everything after having children, and go out in the workforce. That's wrong, because she was tricked into that during that idolatry period of her 20s. She was tricked. That's what the Bible says. For this cause God gave them up to vile affections. For even the woman did change the natural use into which is against nature. Read.
27. And likewise also the men.
And likewise also the men. Where men would begin to believe they should be taken care of by women. That's the spirit we allow these Asians came over, folks, with the most ancient vile demons concentrated in our communities to destroy our family values, our morality, our respect and love for one another we once had. They brought in demons in our community, not just food. Now the men became weak. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, where men will begin to not value women like they used to. And then why? Because and then we live in a system where women are celebrated for devaluing themselves. And it becomes circular. I'm going into this when we have that singles roundtable in the academy, because we're suffering the curse. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of their woman, read,
burned in their lusts one toward another,
to the point where men will begin to turn to other men now. Read.
Men with men, working that which is unseemly,
because it wasn't meant to be according to God from the beginning. To the heavens, it's weird. Like that don't go there.
Not just to the heavens.
Okay? There's a reason why men and women were made to connect for life. So to the heavens, they're looking at it, and not to the heavens, to earth too. I'm checking out like, listen, may the Most High bless and heal those who think this way. But there's no way I'd be walking down the street or going to a beach somewhere and say, oh man, check out his shoulders. Just the thought is weird to me. It's unseemly. Men with men working that which is unseemly, folks. And I'm going to tell you, this comes back to thuggy. It comes back to the thugs. Because with thugs, and you know Esau's always in the middle, discovering this evil. This is one guy who did the research on the thugs over there in the Middle East. I mean, over there in India. The thugs were known for good for nothing, working off women with their pants down. And these are the group of thugs from 1894. The whole concept is an ancient Babylonian ideology that comes through idolatry of Babylon, the idolatry of Babylon. So then they started teaching this crap to our people through music, and now it says men working. Look at these guys, these vagrants. This is where you get the baggy pants from. And eventually the baggy pants would sag down under their behinds. Under their behinds. Look what's going on here. This is like a jailhouse opportunity. On the wrong side of right, on the wrong side of good. What is this guy doing in the middle? What, he give him a massage, one on the feet? Here's the spirit they use to break our people, the thuggy. Man on man psyche. Look at this poor soul down here being held down. Jailhouse activity. Look at these vagrants. And this guy discovered that a long time ago. Then you go back here, and now they're going to sacrifice and give all their Jews they still scamming to Kelly. And at the end of the day, Kelly going to lie on them and call the cops on them. And eventually do what? Have the heads of the men who took care of her. So the spirit of thugs also is in the Bible. When men started to look at other men. Let's read it.
It says, and likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burn in their lusts one toward another, men with men working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error, which was meat.
So now, guess what? You're receiving the recompense for your error. Speaking of the men, jail, death, losing the community, all of that. So this is why it doesn't even make any sense when you look at these guys and say, yo, those pants don't fit you. They'll have little pants that it can only go up to their thigh. Can't walk with their underwear showing. Let me tell you folks, that's not good for men. To believe it's okay to be around another guy with their butt out. It's in scripture. Men don't even know why they're doing it. They think it's just fashion. Well, who's running the fashion industry, folks? Who's running the fashion industries? It's in the Bible, folks. We've taken on the spirit of idolatry. When they say they're thugs and all that, they actually have one of those ancient demons from Babylon in their members. And by the time they figured out that they're possessed, it's too late. They're aged out, their prime is gone, and they've wasted time to make legacy that would have made legacy. So women aren't the only one who waste time challenging and dealing and competing with men. Men waste time. Let's go to the end.
Yes, sir. Verse number 28.
28, come on.
And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge,
And because they don't want to retain God in their knowledge,
God gave them over to a reprobate mind
a reprobate mind,
to do those things which are not convenient, being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, whisperers,
always talking. And this is the housewives and all these others, hip hop these things where they're fighting one another. Satan's masterpiece. Hip hop New York, hip hop this, hip hop that, simple as the days old, while losing our communities. And guess what? When they come over, even when the Indian tribes come over and our people come over from other countries, they're family ready. So there's no way our community can oppose family coming in on one accord. It's a losing cause. They're coming in with the man in position and a woman on his program. There's no way our people can compete with this. And now what the brothers are doing, the brothers are saying, well, okay, we're just going to get on board with the women who are coming over and going out and getting these other women. And guess what? When that begin to happen, it's going to be all out, knock down, drag out, a survival. It's going to be a survivor show. Backbiters.
It says, haters of God, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things,
read,
disobedient to parents.
That's what they're doing in the schools, programming children not to listen to parents. Read.
Without understanding, covenant breakers.
Read.
Without natural affection, implacable, unmerciful, who knowing the truth of God, that they which commit such things are worthy of death.
And those who commit such things are worthy of what?
Of death.
Of death.
Not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them.
Not only do the same, but celebrate others who are anti-God, anti-Christ, anti-family. This is what happens when one make an idol for themselves, of themselves. Okay? Eventually, that's right, the judgment of idolatry, like it was in the Old Testament, is death. This is why the Most High said in Timothy, what? Let's go to Timothy.
1 Timothy chapter.
And the reason why, and people ask, well, why do the Bible usually, it seems like it's extra hard on women. It's not extra hard on women. The reality is, women have some of the strongest influences for family. They transfer the culture and the tradition of a nation. While men are out at war, doing what men are supposed to do to keep the family and protect the family, it's entrusted in the woman to instill the values, culture, and tradition into the next generation. They are the first teachers for the young men and young women. This is why the Bible is so keen on the woman being upright. You understand? And operate without shame. Men are held to a separate standard. There's a double standard in the Bible, and it comes with a man and the curse that comes with him, and the woman and the curse that came with her. Read on.
1 Timothy 2:9.
Read.
In like manner also that women adorn themselves in modest apparel.
And this is why the Bible stated that what?
That women adorn themselves in modest apparel.
Be mindful in modest apparel. Now, why did the Most High put this out there? Chapter and verse?
1 Timothy 2:9.
Why did the Most High put this out there for women more so than men? Well, here's the reality of the matter. I'm going to go into it more in the academy. And women know this to be so. Men aren't being approached every day coming outside by a woman, by women who are seeking to lay down with them. Okay? Men, that's another double standard. Men aren't coming outside every day with women, just, hey, trying to just hold them and grab them. Can I see you move? And then when you go to the gas station, men coming. Women know that they are what? That's right, folks. Women know that they have certain proposals, let me use that word, on a daily basis, just walking outside, 10 to 20 a day, depending on what they have on. Now tell me that's not true. So you wonder why the Most High tell a woman to wear modest apparel and not focus on the men, because there's no advances on men walking down the street all day being propositioned by a woman that day. A woman can have 10 to 20 people, depending on where she is and where she works, coming up to her, and she know exactly what he's coming up to her for. Men don't know what that looks like. And this is why the Most High put the restrictions on them, because their proposition for intimacy on a regular basis, strictly having to do nothing but come outside. So this is why the restrictions was put on women, because women give access, that's right, to relations to have children. Women have the power to give access or to refuse access. This is why the restrictions are harder on women, because that's a powerful thing to have at such a young age. And if it's used wrong, the whole society crumbles. See? And women know this. They have the power at a young age, walking around with what most men want, and don't understand the power of it, how to utilize what the Most High blessed her with righteously to have the proper outcome. The power of a woman's body is chastity. That's the power of it. Chastity. Self-discipline, to understand that what you have is precious, made by God. Wasn't meant for any man. It was meant for one man. Precious, like a jewel. See? Read that part.
Yes, sir. 1 Timothy 2:9. And like manner also that women adorn themselves in modest apparel.
And this is why, because the power of women to walk around and get attention. Men don't understand what that looks like. Even the best of men don't know what that looks like. And this is when women aren't even trying sometimes to look their best. There's still advancements on a regular basis, especially in the primes of your lives. What are you going to do with all that power? Are you going to make yourself into an idol? Or are you going to humble yourself and gain the reward of God? To not have the regret that many women in this earth have a regret with saying, I wish I would have done what was right in my teens and my 20s with what the Most High gave me. He gave me a nice, beautiful face, a nice, beautiful body, and all I had to do was take care of it under God for the man who deserves me. Huh? Read on.
With shamefacedness.
With shamefacedness. That means not seeking for likes and attention all the time. Because understand, the more clicks one gets, especially with a woman, the Bible tell you about the woman's emotions. It become a dopamine. I'm going to be talking about this. It becomes something she needs on a regular basis to be validated. And Satan knew this when the internet was introduced. Read.
And sobriety.
And what's the danger of that, folks? The danger of this is you can't settle with anyone because you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket with all these opportunities out there that you think exist. So it leads good women into wasting time. They can't settle with an option because they're getting so many likes and validations from people who they deem is better than a better choice than the person in front of them. And it makes it hard for women to settle down with so many people that they think are options. So the Bible says, be shamefaced. Don't seek to be looked upon by other men like others. Don't fall into the spirit of idolatry. Read.
Not with broidered hair, or gold, or pearls, or costly array.
So should a woman get dressed and look the part and always look good? Of course. So the Bible is not saying that you cannot have nice things. But non-like pastimes, the outward aesthetics have become the image of women today, where they put all of it on the outside without building on the inside. So what actually personifies them is what they put on and how much makeup they can put on, how much hair, drawn on eyebrows, where all of the women look the same. There's no unique thing anymore where a man can say, this woman looks different than this woman. They've all made themselves into the same idol, believing it gives all of them the same opportunity. And we're going to go into, but a man don't want that. And women get confused, especially in the world. They get confused with what a man will sleep with in the world and what a man will marry according to God. This confuses women. They think sexual attention is validation, when really none of these men are going to take care of you. This is why the Bible is so important. Don't seek false validation. The same like that the man would give you online or whatever, he just clicked on someone else and gave them a like. A woman should seek validation from God only and the one man who she'll marry. And that should be good enough. And it's time for our sisters, if they're online and others, to get out of the game. Find a man who will love you under God. Get out of the game, because the game will play you until you're aged out. And you'll wonder, where did all my options go? Read that last piece.
Yes, sir. In like manner also that women adorn themselves in modest apparel.
Come on.
With shamefacedness.
With shamefacedness.
And sobriety.
And sobriety.
Not with broidered hair.
It ain't about how you look in the hair and all that, because men been saying it for years. Men been saying, we don't need that. We don't like what things have become since all that been introduced in our society. Now, we didn't understand the demons and the spirits that came with it at first, but men were saying, we've always loved our women outside of that. And this is what women of God is going to have to begin to teach and tell our young girls before this next generation suffers what our generation suffered. And I say women in particular, because women are the first teachers of children. Men kick in later as protectors and guide the children through legacy. But the initial idea of this world is taught through women. Come on.
Not with broidered hair or gold or pearls or costly array, but with which becometh women, professing godliness.
Come on.
With good works.
With good works. With good works. And guess what, folks? We were all tricked. We were all deceived. None of us are perfect. None of us are perfect. Yeah, they got one over on us. Yeah. But we're not to live in regret. The Most High has given us an opportunity to get right, to change the next generation so that they don't suffer the curse we have suffered. And if it means some of our shame is showed so that we can let our children know not to come down this path, so be it. That's our sacrifice. And you'd rather sacrifice that, the hair and everything else, than to keep on taking on the sacrifices that comes from India. If you don't know what that is, look at part 1, the end of part 1 of this particular video. With that, I'm going to say shalom. As you all know again, there is a new Hebrew and Bible Academy which begins next Sunday. I hope you all are there. Please help us support this work. We'll be going into the true history of the world in this academy. We'll be going into the tribe of Dan, finding the tribe of Dan and the lost tribes of Israel. We're going to be dealing with that. We're going to also have brand new lessons on history, archaeology, Bible charts, and historical data. One of the most in-depth academies thus far. We're going to be breaking down the serpent seed, the fall of the gods, color in the Bible showing black nobility during the time of the Dark Ages, the split between Israel and Judah. We're going to go into who is Christ historically, and the marriage part 3 roundtable, singles only, the battle between man and women. It's a 3-month Hebrew Academy. It costs less than 30 cents a day for 3 months. That's how cheap it is. Become a part of this academy. Let's break the record. Let's show brothers and sisters, let's show the enemy that this truth will not be denied by your support. The Bible teaches that what your treasures, your heart is where your treasures are. Your treasures are where your heart is. You put what you earn into something of worth. And brothers and sisters, if we have blessed you in this church, let us continue to bless you further beyond these Sabbaths, beyond the weekly lessons, by blessing you with what we're studying for this next Hebrew and Bible Academy. Go to historytimes.org to enroll. That's historytimes.org. This is simple. Only thing you got to do is type in historytimes.org. Let me go here. historytimes.org. It'll take you directly to this channel. It's that simple. All the information on how to do so is right there. Okay. With that, I'm going to say shalom. May the Most High be with you. Have a great Sabbath. Stay prayed up. Sin not. We will soon see Zion. Shalom.
Shalom.
See you next week. Well, see you the week to come. Shalom.
Shalom.
Lucas.
I wanna abide in you. I wanna abide in you. I wanna abide in you. You. And you abide in me. I confide in you. You wipe my slate clean. Will you help me stay clean? I confide in you. I confide in you, yeah. Snakes in the garden need exposing. When Adam ride, he gon' ride up with Eve. Ate the fruit, now eyes been open. Like I met an angel in my night dreams. You're cute, but I must stay focused. Favor the most, I make you wise in this thing. Disobedience is hocus pocus. Look around, haven't you noticed? You, and you abide in me. I confide in you. You wipe my slate clean. Will you help me stay clean? I confide in you. I confide in you. Yeah. And this is how we rollin'. I don't care what you think about me. Israelite queen, you're golden. The most high you spoken. You might be broken. Isaiah 3:17. You are his chosen. In the midst of this ocean, nah, nah, nah. It's only a little while, nah, 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 nah. The lion I go rah, 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 rah. Man, I change like abracadabra. And I won't need no rat-ta-ta-ta-ta. Baba giddy go, oh God. Christ roll up on the scene like steamroller. Do you really know what this means, my brother? I wanna abide in you. And you abide in me. I confide in you. You wipe my slate clean. Will you help me stay clean? I confide in you. I confide in you. Yeah. So many times I've relied on my own mind. I must admit now you was always there when I was down, down. You always been around. I beg you please when that trumpet sounds, I'll be found. Worthy to stand on the grounds before him. You can't ignore him. Whatever you saw in him, all things work out for your good to those who love the Most High. The Most High. Abide in me. I confide in you. You wipe my slate clean. Will you help me stay clean? I confide in you. I confide in you.